those cell phones on vibrate. If you need to use the restrooms, they're on the 9th floor, out the door to the right. You can take the stairs or take the elevator. If you have snacks or drinks, let's be careful. Let's use the wastebasket. There's one up under the table over there, and another one on this wall. The surveys that you picked up on the way in, after the presentation, please fill them out. Put them in that red top that's on the table over there. Make sure that you have signed in. By you signing in, that is the way that we keep in contact with you. Hello, sign in please. We will send you our monthly workshop schedule. The topics change every month. Hopefully, I may have July before the workshop is over. We will send you our business and consumer newsletter. And when we're having something special going on, we will send you that too. On July 17th, at Navy Pier, there's Access Chicago, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. This is a free expo. Take this flyer. PACP will have a table there. I will be manning the table, so please come out. Make sure you take the flyer. Hello, sign in please. Make sure you take a survey. Take a survey. Make sure you found it good. You get all of these handouts. Does everybody have everything on this table? You don't.
All these?
Yeah, all that. This is for procurement
you.
services.
Yes, ma'am.
That's their workshop schedule. And this is for you to sign up for DPS alerts.
Thank you.
Okay. Those of you who are in the incentive certificate program, you know to get your cards out of the notebooks over there. It is filed by the month that you enrolled. Those of you who are not in the incentive certificate program and would like to enroll, it is a program that has 9 criteria, and you fulfill these criteria by taking these free workshops that we offer every Wednesday afternoon and every Friday morning. After the workshop, you fill in the correct criteria by putting the date, the name of the workshop, and the presenter's name. Before you leave, you will give this card to me. The next time you return, you'll look in the notebooks under the month that you enroll, pull your card out, and you will see that I have signed off on it. After all 9 criteria are fulfilled, you will receive an incentive certificate. Now, this certificate does not certify you for anything. It is an incentive certificate. This certificate, though, is recognized by different agencies that we work with, such as Axion Chicago, the Law Department, Law Project, SCORE, different chambers. It's signed by our Chief Small Business Officer, Roxanne Nava. You take a copy of the certificate and you put it in your business plan. And you frame this and hang it on the wall. So if there's anyone out there who would like to enroll in the incentive certificate program, raise your hand.
What does the program do? This is for getting the building or permit?
Actually, no. This is an incentive program.
Right.
So when you come, you take these free workshops that we offer, and you fill all 9 criteria, you will have a little knowledge about opening a business, license the business, and growing your business.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, who wants to enroll? Okay. Keep the hands up now so I can see them. I need you to fill out the top part. All of that information, especially that start date. And remember that date so you know where to find your card.
I'll take one of these.
All right then, did you fill out card? Okay. Fill out the sub card, make sure you get that card to me before you leave. Today's workshop, we can put that in number 8, for business operations, or we can put it in number 1 for business planning. But it only can go in one space, okay? So right now, we're gonna go with our workshop and Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Chan. I'm the Senior Procurement Specialist for the Department of Procurement Services. Our Chief Procurement Officer is Jamie Ree, for those who are unfamiliar with the department. This workshop is on how to respond to a request for proposal, or commonly known as RFP. For those who are not familiar with the process, the city has basically 2 processes. One is considered a competitive bid, and the other is either RFP or RFQ. Just for those who are, again, unfamiliar with the city in terms of looking for opportunities, bids and RFPs are advertised in the Chicago Sun-Times almost daily, depending on the projects or the needs of the city. Bids over $100,000 and all RFPs are advertised in the Chicago Sun-Times. For those who don't buy the paper or don't have access to the paper, the bids are also available on the City of Chicago's website. You can download that from the Procurement Services link. You can bookmark that and review it every week just to see what new projects have come out. There's also the possibility for you to come down to City Hall and pick up bid opportunities from the bid and bond room. That's located on the 3rd floor. Generally, you can pick up a paper copy, but as the city is going green, we want to stay away from paper copies, and we currently print them on CD-ROMs. Also, you should take a look at the City of Chicago buying plan. That's also out on the city's website. I believe that's a quarterly outlook in terms of what the city will be purchasing in the coming year or in the coming quarter. That'll give you an idea of when to expect the RFPs and competitive bids to be advertised. Another good way to get bid opportunities or to participate in contracts and RFPs is to attend the pre-bid conferences. Those are generally held after the RFP is advertised, and generally there's the vendors that come in to attend the conference. You can basically come in and network with the prime, which all primes are obligated to do some kind of subcontracting work. And also there's an opportunity to check out the bid takeout list that gives you an idea of which vendors have taken out an RFP to review. That doesn't guarantee that they are going to make a proposal to the city, but it gives you an idea of which vendors are involved with the project. So, okay. If you're following along, I'm on the PowerPoint slide. So, going on to page 2, use of RFP versus competitive bid. A request for proposal is a method of procurement to hire professional services consultant to implement a new project in various professional services disciplines. RFPs are project specific and used when the city does not have in-house expertise. In terms of competitive bid, which is a little bit different from RFPs, competitive bid is a method of procurement to purchase supplies, equipment, maintenance, and or repair services. They're very specific. They are detailed bid specification prepared. They generally are for one time and a blanket for goods and services. And generally, the proposal pages that you submit to the city are made part of the contract. Just to give you some idea, RFPs basically, say for example, if the city was looking to build a better mousetrap, I guess, the city would be looking for, well, you make the proposal to the city, and the city would determine if that it's a good fit. So say, for example, your mousetrap is for glue or a spring-loaded mousetrap. City would determine whether or not, which direction to take. Whereas if you're going with a competitive bid, it's very specific. Say, for example, if the city's buying number 2 pencils. Well, the number 2 pencil has to have number 2 lead, has to have an eraser on top. We tell you exactly what that pencil should look like, what that pencil should do. So that's kind of a quick overview in terms of comparing the RFP and the competitive bid. Some differences on page 4, differences between an RFP and competitive bid. Bid specification details every aspect of products and services. An RFP defines project objectives and scope of services parameter, but does not specify the detail in every aspect of how to accomplish or perform the required services. An RFP entails detailed evaluation of proposals by the evaluation committee. For a competitive bid, contract award is to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, meeting the city specifications. For an RFP, vendor selection is the highest rated or highest ranked. So again, RFPs are based on the evaluation committee's review of your proposal that is submitted to the city. Just to go over the RFP format, you have in front of you an older RFP that was constructed by one of my peers, Arthur Riley. The RFP proposal format should be submitted to the city on 8.5 by 11 letter size paper. We prefer that it's double-sided because obviously you save the paper. Please use recycled paper. Don't use fancy or expensive paper because none of the proposals are returned to you. More recently, we're also requesting that the proposals that you submit are electronic, printed on either a CD-ROM or put on a USB drive. Sections of the proposal should be separated and labeled. So in other words, when you do read through the RFP, it's very specific in terms of what sections are required. It should be properly labeled in your proposal so that the evaluation committee does not have a difficult time looking for specific information. Just to reiterate, proposals must be clear, concise, and well organized. RFP proposal content. If you turn to page 5 on the sample RFP, you will see that there are general requirements for submitting your proposal. On page 5, there's information on how to submit your cover letter. The cover letter generally is a signed letter from either your proposal writer or your president or whoever that may be, stating the different, providing the different information requested by the city. Normally in the cover letter, we require or request to find out a little bit about your company, like the numbers of years your company has been in existence, the legal name of your company, the principal contact information of the person submitting the proposal and who to contact during the evaluation process. And generally we require or request that you provide us information on if you have any objections to the city's professional services agreement. That is to help during the contract negotiation phase so that we don't get bogged down on certain terms and conditions. Also, we would like the proposer to acknowledge that if there is an addendum that is created after the RFP is released, that they have received the addendum and they're aware that there's been changes to the RFP. Okay. Also on page 6, moving on to page 6, is an executive summary. The executive summary is a section in your proposal when you submit it to the city that you have a clear understanding of what the request for proposal is about. Say, for example, if the city is looking to replace Microsoft as their software vendor, you don't submit something to us about trucking or something. So we want to make sure you're clear on exactly what the proposal is what the RP is for. So. Professional qualifications and specialized experience of respondent and team members is basically if you are the prime and you are having subcontractors added to your team, you need to list that information and provide that to the city. So the city is aware that you're not the only company working on the project. Also, we would like to get information in terms of resumes from the different individuals that will be working on the project. That's so the city has a clear understanding of in terms of what experience that individual may have. Say, for example, if we're building a bridge, obviously we don't want someone who just drives a truck for a living to build a bridge for us. So we do need some type of clarification in terms of their experience. Generally with RFPs, there's an implementation or a work plan that the city has or would like to see from the respondent. That's so that the evaluation committee can also make a clear understanding. Feel free to ask me any questions if I'm going too fast, so we can keep this interactive if you like. Cost proposal. Cost proposals are important to the proposal or to the RFP, but they're not the driving force. Unlike the competitive bid where cost proposal is the lowest responsible and responsive bid, cost proposals may fluctuate with different proposals. If your proposal is evaluated by the evaluation committee and determined that it fits best, it fits the needs of the city best, then cost proposals are I won't say secondary, but important, but not the driving force behind the selection of your proposal. Again, cost proposal during contract negotiations are negotiable. So. Generally, again, with cost proposal, there's a standard format, either an Excel spreadsheet or some PDF that the city will request that you complete, and that is because in comparison purposes, it makes it much easier for the evaluation committee to compare numbers. The city does require a MBE and WBE plan, commonly known as Schedule C1s and D1s. Most RFPs require a specific percentage amount for minority business enterprise and women business enterprise. Those percentages do tend to fluctuate. Yes?
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would be on page 6. Yes, thank you. No, actually, I moved down to page 9 for MBEs.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have to be a minority owner or woman-owned business to participate in this program?
You do not need to be, but as a subcontractor, then you would have to work that out with the prime. But in terms of most projects, there is a certain percentage that MBEs and WBs will participate in. Okay?
What about veteran-owned businesses?
I'm sorry?
Veteran-owned businesses?
I'm not aware of that. I would have to get back to you on it. I know in construction there may be some requirement, but since I'm on the professional services side, I do IT contracts, and that's not normally required. Okay. On page 10 of the sample RFP, the city also requires, or not requires, would request that you submit financial statements. Generally, we're looking for 3 years of audited financial statements. Obviously, if you haven't been in business that long, we would prefer you send, whatever financial statements that is available for evaluation. The city requires an online economic disclosure statement to be completed, commonly known as online EDS. That is required by law and generally is completed by the prime and may be completed by the subcontractor if requested. So, Also on page 10 is legal actions. The city is interested if your company is part of a lawsuit of any type that may impair your completion of a project with the city. And lastly, insurance. The city requires insurance, but you do not need to submit any insurance certificate until after you've actually been selected for an award. So, yes.
Just back to the financial statements.
Sure.
The first line, it says, if the respondents are comprised of more than one entity, if it's only one entity, if we're submitting on our own, will we still have to submit financial statements?
Yes, yes. I think what you're reading is, say for example, if you're joining another company to participate in the project, then we would require financial statements from your company and your joint company, so to speak.
But if we're submitting on our own without any, not joint venture, not any partnerships, would we still be required to submit our financial statements?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Okay, so after you've completed all of your work and submitted your proposals, the city will then evaluate your proposals. I mean, the city normally can receive from anywhere from 1 to 20 different proposals depending on the project. So, the evaluation criteria are normally listed in the RFP, so you have an idea of what the city will be looking at. But basically, it's the information I provided earlier. The city will be, or the evaluation committee for the city will be evaluating the professional qualifications, the experience of your team, your implementation and work plan, cost proposal, definitely your MBE, WBE commitment in terms of what they'll be doing for the city. We will look at your financial statements, obviously to determine if you're profitable or not profitable. It depends. We look at the compliance with laws and ordinance, which is basically your EDS completion. We take a look at your legal actions and if there is any conflict of interest related to your proposal. The evaluation committee is usually members of that department that is requesting the project, but we can also ask other city departments to participate in the evaluation. Tips for preparing RFP proposals. The most important thing, obviously, is to read the RFP entirely. You don't want to miss a section where it says you must provide a document, and then when you, at the day of the proposal, you submit it, and you find out that you forgot to submit a proposal or submit a document as part of the proposal. At that point, it's probably too late to come back and redo your proposal. Say, for example, you forgot to submit your C1s and D1s for MWBE. Well, then that's a cause for dismissing your proposal. Sure. You need to submit questions about the RFP in writing. Generally, there's a timetable in the RFP that gives you a schedule of when proposals are due, also when questions are due, as well as when there may be a pre-proposal conference, which you can attend. So pay close attention to the timetable. They generally don't change unless it's changed in the addendum. So if you're reading through the proposals if you're reading through the RFP and you have questions, submit the questions in writing before the deadline that's stated in the RFP. Be responsive to RFP submittals. In other words, make sure you do submit all the required documents. Submit the cost proposal in a format provided in equitable comparison. I can never say that word. And then, again, that's for the evaluation committee to review your costs on an equal basis with the other proposals. Be a responsible vendor. Verify that your company has the ability and the capacity to perform. and your proposal meets the specified requirements. So we want you to submit proposals, but not submit proposals that you think you might have a chance of getting, but you're not really, you really don't have the expertise in, because obviously you're wasting your time and the city's time. If there's a mandatory requirement, avoid taking exceptions to it, because in most cases that it would be a cause for dismissing your proposal as well. Okay. Some additional tips for preparing RFP proposals. Generally, all RFPs have a requirement for company profile information. That's an exhibit that is in the shape of a form that you complete. That's to give the city an idea of what your company does and who your company is, what kind of business your company handles. In most cases, even if you're a large company, don't assume that the evaluation committee member knows who you are, because if the evaluation committee member is from a different department and he knows nothing about IT or they know nothing about engineering, you need to submit information that will help them understand. Generally, in RFPs, there's a company reference profile information. In most RFP, we request basically 3 references in which you've done similar work. That's to obviously give the evaluation committee an idea of your expertise. There's an WBE compliance plan, which is Schedule C1s and D1s. I don't know how familiar you are with Schedule C1s and D1s, but basically those are forms filled out by your subcontractors, and then the D1 is completed by the prime who's submitting the proposal. Online economic disclosure statements, or EDS, must be completed with all proposals. And what you basically do is, when you complete that online, you print out the certificate of filing, include that in your proposal, and then the city will review that when they look up your EDS number, your certificate of filing number. Insurance certificate, again, is not required at the time of proposal, but the city wants to be assured that you are eligible or able to get insurance for the project. Also normally included, if you see in the back of the sample RP, is the city's standard terms and conditions. Those are the terms and conditions that will be negotiated in a contract once your company has been selected. And obviously there's lots of terms and conditions in there, so you should take a close look at it to determine whether or not they affect your company. Also, you need to verify that you are aware there's an addendum that was included as part of the RFP process, so that when you submit your proposals, you can't say that, oh, I wasn't aware there was an addendum that changed this scope of work. So that's very important. Okay. Submit your proposals on time. Generally, proposals are all due by 4 p.m. of a specific time, a specific date. The CPO has the liberty of either accepting your proposals, should it be 4:01, you missed it by 1 minute, or 4:10, but generally you must have your proposal submitted on time. Make sure your cover letter that you submit is signed by your authorized member of your company. Make an acknowledgement that you are aware there are addendums. Again, pay close attention to the RP instructions for the submittal requirements. Submit 1 page of the EDS certificate of filing. Sorry, go ahead.
First of all, I apologize for coming in.
That's okay, I'm probably going faster than I should.
Well, but on the EDS, is it something that you file annually, or do you have to file one every time you submit a new proposal?
Good question. I think generally you file it every time you submit a proposal, but if you don't, and maybe Tahiti, you can help me out, if you don't get selected, you could probably use the same, but I think they're specific to the project though,
Right,
so.
they are. Individual project.
Yeah, so you do have to file it every time you submit a proposal.
Right, the project number is required for the proposal, right?
Thank you, Tita. Okay, and it's probably a good idea to make a checklist of all the submittal requirements so that you are aware of what's required and you can kind of check off on all the documents you have submitted to the city. Okay. Proposal, evaluation, and award. So, I'm sorry, 11. So basically, respondents to the RFPs are posted on the website, so you know what proposals are received by the city. Generally, after that, no other information is available until the evaluation and award process is completed. You do have the Freedom of Information Act that you can file to get additional information about your about the project and the selection process and the award process. Generally, the proposal evaluation is completed in 3 phases. Phase 1 basically is for the city to determine whether or not you submitted all the required content. So if the city is asking for MWBE, Schedule C1s and D1s, online EDS, insurance, and you forget to submit, say, for example, cost proposal, something that's very important to the proposal process, well, then that's cause for obviously your proposal is not making to phase 2, and your proposal would then be rejected. If you have submitted all the required content and the City Evaluation Committee determines that all the necessary content is there for them to evaluate your proposal, then you move on to phase 2, which basically they will read your proposal cover to cover. That's so they will then determine whether or not your proposal meets the needs of the city. From there, if, say, for example, we have 10 proposals, 4 of them look like they would fit the city, then we would shortlist to the 4 proposals to do an oral presentation. In other words, you may either come in to do an oral presentation or do a demonstration perhaps of your software that you're offering to sell, or to even discuss, your work plan or implementation. And that's generally, you're generally given 2 weeks' notice prior to coming in to do an oral presentation. From there, after the oral presentation is completed, the city will make a selection. I'm sorry.
Just another question.
Sure.
The proposals, does the city accept online filing, or is it hard copies, or is it a combination?
For what?
Submittal of proposals?
Generally, at this point, we require at least one hard copy as the original. And normally, at this time, we're receiving copies on CD-ROMs or a USB drive. It depends on the project and the procurement specialist who's running it. They may ask for hard copies. One, because some evaluation committee members prefer paper. So if you give us a CD-ROM, they're just going to turn around and print it all in paper anyway. So, but it depends. In most cases, they all have PCs, and they're pretty mobile in terms of reviewing your proposals that way. Okay. So after phase 3, oral presentations, the evaluation committee will meet and make a selection. And after the selection has been made, those that are not selected will be notified, and those that the winning vendor, so to speak, that is selected will be notified to come in for contract negotiations. Contract negotiations can generally take a few weeks to a month or so, depending on the complexity of the project. And once the contract is negotiated, then the project is awarded. Okay. So with that, I kind of a quick run through of the RFP process, but if you have any additional questions, feel free to ask. Sure.
On your proposals, in terms of fees and costs, How long does the city want us to say that the fees are good for? If you submitted 6 months or 8 months?
Yeah, generally, the city prefers that you don't put a time on when your fees and costs are limited. In other words, say, for example, this proposal is good for only 60 days or 90 days. The city generally tends to take longer to do the evaluation. So perhaps by the time they finish the evaluation, your proposal has expired, so to speak. It's difficult for the city to actually put a date as to when a project will actually get selected. So we prefer that it's not time sensitive. Now, obviously, if it's over 2 years, then there's a different story, I suppose.
One more question. When the city makes a selection internally, and you go through, you do contract negotiation, and after you actually have a signed contract, you notify the other vendors, or at the time they select and they enter the contract negotiation?
Generally, those vendors' proposals that are not accepted, say, for example, they don't get past phase 1 because they forgot to submit a cost proposal, forgot to schedule C1s and D1s. They generally get notified before the next phase occurs, so that they're aware that they haven't moved on. And similar with the next phase, if in phase 2, during the evaluation, they're not shortlisted, then those vendors that don't make the shortlist also get notified. So it's a process along the way that vendors are notified. Yes?
Are you at liberty to answer what industries are requested the most?
Which industries are requested the most?
What services, like, you're able to say, that this service is always being requested, or we're always looking for something in that area?
I don't know that answer, but generally, if you look at the city's buying plan, that'll give you, I think, a year's outlook in terms of what the city will be procuring in the coming future. And that's probably helpful because the other option, obviously, is to look at all our contracts and determine when they expire. So when they expire, the city will be putting out either an RFP or a competitive bid for it. But looking at the buying plan is probably your best option, I think.
That's online.
That's online, on the DPS website with the city.
DPS?
I'm sorry, Department of Procurement Services
Got it.
website. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
Do you guys have a plan on releasing the score sheets for phase 2 of the evaluation?
Score sheets are available only if you submit a FOIA request or a Freedom of Information Act request.
The FOIA request isn't actually fulfilled until after the order, right?
Right, that's correct. There's no information provided until after the contract is actually awarded. Yes, sure.
Hi, everyone. I actually wanted to, thank you, Joe, for the
Thank you.
presentation. I wanted to, you can stay up here. You can stay up here in case there's any questions. Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Kwiatkowski. I am the Director of Public Affairs for the Department of Procurement Services. And I heard some questions getting asked. I think Joe did a great job of covering the contracting things, but I wanted to kind of jump in and add to some of those questions. I'm also the department's FOIA officer. So directly to your question about scoring and evaluation sheets, those are actually protected under FOIA, and so those actually aren't distributed at any point in time, the evaluation sheets. So that's, I guess, the answer to that question, yes.
I guess we've submitted many proposals in the past, and this kind of goes through the mechanics of submitting an RFP.
Sure, come on back, Joe. Joe, come on back.
We haven't really gotten any traction with the City of Chicago.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, once you've gone through this process and you've been submitting and you learn, how do you get feedback to improve your proposals? And get the feedback on maybe what you're not doing exactly correctly, even though you follow all of the, the written word.
Sure, I believe that if Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if you're not selected as a vendor, you do have the opportunity to come in and meet with the procurement specialist and the team that ran the process and the solicitation for exactly that purpose.
Okay.
So, in the next time,
You would then contact the person on the front
Yeah, and the city is welcome to brief you on why your proposal was not selected.
Yeah, didn't score well.
Right.
But can that apply also now to proposals you have submitted in the prior years?
Prior years? All depending if that procurement specialist is still here or they remember, but I suppose that's possible.
You're probably best served by trying to address that close to when the time frame was. I wanted to answer some of the questions that I heard previously. One was about a veteran's preference. Sir, you asked about a veteran's preference. And Joe is correct, there isn't one at this time. However, just right at the end of last month, for the first time ever, the City of Chicago introduced into City Council is a bid incentive for veterans. So what that will do is if a veteran partners with a small firm, and that includes our minority and women certified firms, in a joint venture, there will be a 5% bid incentive. And so I actually brought the kind of press release about that was just introduced. It hasn't been passed yet. So it isn't in existence yet, but it's the city's really proud that they're taking this step to honor our veterans and take this next step for a veterans bid incentive. So I have some information here for you to read about that, and you can certainly ask me any questions.
Okay, the reason why I asked is
Yes.
because I haven't seen anything on any of the city sites, and also, more importantly, I had asked because the Small Business Administration has introduced several loan programs that are geared towards veteran-owned businesses.
Yes, well, and that has been, I believe, a challenge for the city for a long time. How do you acknowledge veterans? But there only is, the pie is only, there's only so much work, and definitely we want to be able to address our small local minority and women-owned businesses. So this idea actually just came forth from a meeting we were at one of our assist agencies, and they were talking about veterans preference and our CPO. If anyone's ever met her or gotten a chance to see her speak, she's a very dynamic individual, Jamie Rhee, and she's like, what can we do to address this? And so this solution on this proposal, having a veteran partner with the local small minority women-owned business, is actually going to be a win-win, we're hoping, for the city. And 5 percentage points as a bid incentive is huge. So that can really make the difference between winning the contract. So this is one way, but actually this idea came up beginning of May. It was introduced into City Council end of May. So it's really our departments. We strive to be responsive to the vendor community and to see how we can, make solutions that are going to work. Another thing I heard asked was about our proposals, sir, I believe you asked, are proposals submitted electronically. And so, Joe, again, correctly, at this point, other than the CD-ROM, there isn't. But what I just wanted everyone to know is to, stay in touch with us and be on the lookout for, within the next, I want to say 15 months, the entire city's undergoing a huge e-procurement modernization initiative where everything's going to get transferred from paper submittals to electronic submittals. So it's not here yet, but it is forthcoming, and it's quite, all these systems are being built to integrate with each other, from the procurement side of the house all the way through to the payment side of the house, to make it easier for the vendor community and to also increase transparency for everyone involved. One of the things you can see right now on our website is just in the last couple of weeks, we've launched a bid tracker application. And the way we always talk about it, the way our boss talks about it, is one day she was thinking about, she talked about it today. She was sitting around thinking about the Domino's Pizza app, like the tracker. Like, you could see exactly where your pizza is, right? Like, they put the pizza on the oven, they took the pizza out of the oven, it's on its way to your house. Like, can't we do that with bids? So our department, we service 27 different user departments, and a signed contract starts with a user department saying, I have this idea, I have this need. So you can see now, you can put in a specification number and see where it is in the process. Is it that the user department submitted it to us? Is it that it's advertised? Is it being negotiated? So that's just, all of these transparency efforts are ongoing, and it's a phased approach to get there. But we will also get there with e-procurement to try to kind of, add some additional information for you about that question. And then I think the last one I heard is what industries are we looking for? So this is actually the buying plan. And so this is all 27 departments that we service, what they're buying for the next 5 to 6 quarters. And we issue this on a quarterly basis. It's also available on our website. So it's saying who's buying it, how much, how long is the term, what are the subcontracting opportunities if you're a minority or women-owned firm and you need to get certified or expand your certification. This tool is here to try to help you be able to plan ahead to do that. So these things are here. So this is our kind of our long-range forecast. As Joe mentioned at the start of his talk, every Monday we send out DPS alert that tells you what's real, what's on the street. So this is your 6 quarters out. You get a once a week email that tells you what's really out there. And then actually in the last couple of months, we've actually introduced social media. So we are on Facebook and we are on Twitter, and that is me. So anytime anything advertises, I'm posting about it online. So you can track. And again, this is all part of our CPO, our boss, and also our mayor's priority of making sure that there's as much information out there as possible and that we're as transparent as possible. I just wanted to add those couple of things. So is there any other questions? Thank you all very much.